Well, let's go live to our central London studio and talk to Marie Fahy from Catholic Voices. Morning, Marie. Thanks for joining us. Just how long has this whole process been of making Mother Teresa a saint?
It actually came about a bit faster because her position, she was known so well across the world that the time that it took to take her to become beatified was shortened from 5 years to 2 years. So now after that she is becoming a saint this weekend on Monday.
Marie, for people who aren't Catholics, can you just explain how important it is for Mother Teresa to be made a saint?
It's an amazing time for Catholics, but it's also an amazing time for all people of faith across the world and for the poor and for the lonely. She was a woman of faith, but she was the person who, what she did in her life was she actively went out to those who had nobody, to those who were abandoned, to those who were the poorest of the poor and the destitute. And she didn't see poverty as a problem to be solved. She saw the people, she saw the individuals. And what she said was that they needed love, and love was the thing that remains. And for her, for all her critics that you were mentioning earlier in the report, what she did was she actually went out to the margins of society that Pope Francis talks so well about, and she took in the people who we would naturally want to get away from. You know, people with leprosy. There's a video of her anointing them with oil, and you know, even watching it is very, very difficult. And some of the journalists who were involved with her right in the early days, they said that going around with her, Malcolm Muggeridge said that he couldn't even look at some of the people. It was so distressing. And yet there she was in the middle of that, loving them, because she believed that each person, wherever there was humanity, there was Jesus. And for her, she was serving Jesus, her and her nuns. So that's what she did. She was a woman of action. She wasn't sitting around making, you know, detailed plans and proposals and giving people, you know, line for line account of what she was doing. She was there doing it day to day and year after year.
What do you say, Marie, what do you say to her critics who say that it's just not plausible what she's done, or what they say that she has done?
Yeah, I think I would say to ask the people that she helped, you know, or their relatives. As I said, when she first started in Calcutta, people who were leaving hospital, they had to leave if they were dying because they didn't have the beds. And if there was no family, those individuals were left on the street to die. And actually people were dying on the street. And Mother Teresa said this, you know, this can't happen. So her critics might say, you know, that she should have done this or that or the other. But actually what she was doing was an emergency in an emergency situation. So if you saw an accident, you know, you might use something quickly to help somebody. You wouldn't be thinking about the wider implications. Marie, she was there for those people. She felt that people had dignity.
Marie, sorry to interrupt you, but what about these two miracles? What about those? What do you say to critics who say this just can't happen?
Yeah, I mean, the miracles are amazing, and obviously that's something we celebrate. I would say to them, you know, there is more reality than just the things that we can see, than the things that we can touch, the things that we can hear and that we can measure in a scientific way. These miracles have been tested rigorously, because obviously the church doesn't want to put its name to something and say, actually, this is, you know, this is something that happened if it hasn't been gone through all the scientific tests that we have available today. But I would also say to them that spiritual reality is different to physical reality. And in this, you know, in the spiritual realm of God and God's action, actually it is hard to understand. And if, you know, for a rationalist, they might say they could never understand it. I would say to that person, in a way, I believe it's a miracle. The people whose lives were changed believe it. But actually look at her work, look at her actions.
Okay, thank you so much, Marie. I'm sorry to cut you off. We're going to have to leave it there because of time. But thank you, Marie.